Hello, everybody. I will be talking about Indian lesbians and how they are stuck between conservative lesbophobia and misogyny of LGBT cult. So, I will begin with the condition of lesbians in India, conservative lesbophobia. Conservatives believe that lesbianism is just a phase or a disease that needs to be cured. So, if the community suspects that some girl or a woman is a lesbian, they take her to a tantric, astrologer, or a psychologist. They confine her at a home, or they put her on medications to cure lesbianism. The woman also goes through a faces mental and physical abuse. Often fathers, brothers, husbands, and sons rape them to correct them. Families pressure to marry a man and separate from lesbian partner. Many a times, families and communities kill these women to save their honor. Um, and conversion therapy is very widespread in India. We will talk about it in later slides. And there are religious ceremonies that are performed to cure this sin called lesbianism. So when a woman comes out as a lesbian in her to her family, she already feels guilty of doing something criminal, and she expects understanding from her parents, but she doesn't get it. So if you come out as a lesbian, then many parents pressure the woman to marry a man and separate from their lesbian partner. So many lesbians do it for their parents' happiness. So men who marry lesbians, some men marry lesbians to save them from lesbianism. Some marry to fulfill their fantasies. Some marry lesbians because they haven't had a real man yet. And some men marry lesbians for legal reasons and pursue relationships with other men. Corrective rape, often fathers, brothers, husbands, and sons or cousins rape these women to correct them. These victims are traumatized and they prefer to delete the incidents from their memories and cut off ties with their families. So such incidents are rarely reported. According to a statistics by LGBT Collective in Telangana, there have been 15 instances of corrective rapes that have been reported in the group in the last 5 years. A lot of times these women run away to some other place to live together away from their disapproving families. So in an incident in 2013, two young women fled to Bangalore from Kerala, but one of father of one of the women filed a kidnapping case against the other. So these women reached out to a support group. When choices become unbearable, suicide becomes the last resort. So, according to a statistics, 22 young women in the Kerala state alone had committed suicide under such similar circumstances between 1995 and 2003. And this data was just from cases reported in the newspaper. In 2008, in Chennai, two women set themselves on fire after their families tried to separate them. Both of these women were married to men. One of them separated from her first husband, and then her relatives married her off to another man, and they moved somewhere else away from that place. So the family hoped that this would keep these women away from each other, but the women came together. They committed suicide together. Bullying in educational institutions. There are many instances where the staff members, teachers, and wardens, and even hostel girls trash and harass these girls. In many instances, in one of the instances, in 2018, a girls' school in Kolkata accused 10 students of being lesbians, and they made them write a confession letter. The headmistress said that her aim was to discuss the matter with the parents so that they can bring these girls on the right course through efforts both at home and in school. A UP school teacher thrashed and paraded two girls after accusing them of being in a lesbian relationship. So they just suspect that these girls are lesbians and then they harass these girls. In one incident, hostel warden ordered other girls from the hostel to beat a girl they thought was a lesbian. They also poured chili powder into her mouth and refused to let her drink water. Very few openly lesbian women have made it to the mainstream. In the past few years, gay men society has started to accept gay men in politics, in judiciary, in many places, but lesbians are still invisible. Few are here. Advocates Menka Guruswamy and Arundhati Kajju. These two advocates represented the petitioners seeking to decriminalize homosexual activities that led to decriminalizing homosexuality in India. A wonderful power couple. Then another is Duti Chand, India star sprinter. She came out after Article 377 was scrapped. Another is Ritu Dalmia. She's a celebrity chef and a food entrepreneur. Uh, these kind of happy, happy endings or supportive families are very rare. So recently, a lesbian couple got engaged in Nagpur. The couple met each other for the first time at a mental health conference in Kolkata. Their family, both of their families were supportive, and they got engaged. This is a poster, initial poster of what was supposed to be India's first lesbian film. So in his tweet, Ram Gopal Verma tweeted that Dangerous is about two women who, because of bad experience with men, passionately fall in love with each other, and their intense affair throws them into the midst of dangerous criminals and even more dangerous cops, which leads to a dangerous climax. So, what this man is trying to suggest that female homosexuality is not independent of men, and that it's dangerous, it's man-hating, and that so it's basically like a porno movie made by a man for male audience. And if you compare it with Shubhamangala Zyada Saudan, which is a movie on a gay couple. So you can see the difference how gay men get their representation in the popular culture and how lesbian women get. So lesbian women are fetish or king for heterosexual men, while gay men are humans who deserve rights. Fetishization of lesbianism. So in India, Indian lesbian porn is on rise. These channels and videos are mostly owned and viewed by men. Okay. And men have fetishized lesbianism to the point that many women refrain from using the term lesbian to label their sexuality. Here are some of the screenshots of the titles of porn videos from Pornhub. So you can see the channel names and the titles. They are very misogynistic and lesbophobic and whatnot. So the idea that heterosexual men like it when two women make out and more is so commonplace that it's actually a cultural touchstone. They don't even have to be real lesbians. For instance, on Friends, which is a popular mainstream TV series, in that Chandler and Joey, who are heterosexual men, give up their apartment for the chance to watch two of their heterosexual female friends kiss for 1 minute. Corporate performative allyship. So the first Indian advertisement to feature a lesbian couple was created for the clothing brand. In that advertisement, a lesbian couple is preparing to meet their parents. So one of them is sitting on the couch, and one of them is getting ready, jewelry and makeup and stuff. So even though there is no man there, men are still there. In another advertisement for Dabur's bleach product, the advertisement shows a lesbian couple celebrating Karwa Chauth, which is a very regressive Hindu festival where Hindu wives keep a fast for their husband's long life. So this advertisement met with a huge backlash from conservatives. You can see that conservatives don't like lesbians, and these corporations, they don't like us either. Like, they are using us as pawns to increase their customer base, and they're putting lesbians into this heteronormative framework where we are doing celebrating the same regressive festivals. So what is needed? Safe spaces for lesbians, lesbian politics and movement, all of that, free from men, widespread awareness, acceptance, laws and provisions, lesbian representation, and end of male gaze, entitlement, violence, etc. So are we there at? Let's see. Section 377, in a landmark 2018 verdict, the Supreme Court scrapped the controversial Section 377 of Indian Penal Code, thereby decriminalizing homosexuality in India, which is a good step. Then let's see. In politics, lesbians are excluded or sidelined in both electoral politics and in homosexual rights politics. So Congress MP Shashi Tharoor brought this bill to decriminalize homosexuality in Lok Sabha. In 2019, Harish Iyer became the first openly gay man to become a politician. He joined the Congress party. No lesbian has been given a party ticket yet. And in a half-hour video, one of the videos of Shashi Tharoor on LGBT representation and stuff, in the whole video, he does not mention lesbians even a single time. So the whole conversation is so male-centric. Even the topic of marriage is so male-centric. There is no lesbian representation. So double marginalization. So up until now, we have seen that gay men, even though they are marginalized because of their homosexuality, they are still men, so they do enjoy male privilege, which allow, so even if they get married, that allows them the freedom to seek other relationships. They are economically independent, and they get away with a lot by the sole virtue of being men. But lesbians, on the other hand, they are women, so there's oppression, and then there are lesbian women, so there's double oppression, right? So nothing challenges patriarchy more than lesbianism. You're saying you don't need a man and you don't want a man. So by coming out as a lesbian, you're threatening patriarchy. You're risking estrangement with your family, and you're also putting your personal safety at stake. So given that this double marginalization, this homosexual rights movement is supposed to be inclusive, supposed to advocate for their rights. So in 2018, a lesbian couple committed suicide in Gujarat. One of the women was married to a man and had a 3-year-old daughter. In their suicide note, they wrote, "We have left this world to live with each other. The world did not allow us to stay together. We did not have any men with us." So in an article covering this incident, this article quoted two activists talking on the plight of lesbians. One woman, one man who demands to be called as a woman, but none lesbians. India is a conservative society, a lesbophobic society. So meeting your match or dating in offline world or face to face is very difficult. Coming out to your colleagues or your classmates is very difficult. So online dating apps are supposed to be a safe space for lesbians to come out and meet another lesbians and date them, right? So there are a few lesbian dating apps, but they are not very safe for women. There is this As You Are, which is an Indian dating app. co-founded by two Indian women. And they quote, in many queer women dating apps, you will see many male profiles, not trans. And that clearly shows that no one is verifying profiles. Other apps assume that people are ready to come out, and they emphasize more on photos than content. So basically, on this app, to sign up, you're required to give your name. Doesn't have to be your real name, and what you identify as, and who are you interested in. And they have given both this transgender and whatever. If you don't give pronouns, then you can't sign up. You lose, you lose that right to um, join this app and look for women to date. I talked with one of my male friends and asked him to create a profile on As You Are, and he did make one. So what he did, that he identified as female, who is interested in females, but he's obviously a man, right? And the first match on As You Are was him, a man. So they're clearly not verifying profiles. And what is the point of verifying profiles? If you're letting a man to identify as a woman, then what's the point of verifying? There is no verification. What are you going to verify? Right. So it's just rubbish. There's this another Just She. It is an amazing platform for all the lesbian, bisexual, and trans women who are looking for their perfect match. So again, trans women. There's another Fame. Fame has taken online lesbian dating to another level. Unlike chats on Fame, you communicate through video calls. Then there's Joy. Joy is an amazing dating app that focuses on the L, aka lesbian part of the LGBTQ community worldwide. So I signed up on both of these apps, and within 10 minutes, I see men in my feed. So not really that amazing. Then there's Her. It is one of the world's biggest dating apps for LGBTQ plus women and queer folks, created for queer people by queer people. Her is a safe and inclusive space where you can connect with queer women, right? And there you go again, men. One with he, him, another with she, her. So the problem is that these same LGBT cult people claim that female is a sex and woman is a gender, and homosexuality is same-sex attraction. That means lesbians are females who are attracted to other females. So that basically means that gender is out of the equation. So sexuality has got nothing to do with gender. So why are these dating apps putting these options of gender and pronouns that have nothing to do with sexuality on these apps, right? And so you're telling that woman is a gender, right? So males can be women, right? But now these males are also claiming to be females. So basically, these people know that women are adult human females. They know that women and female are connected. They know the link, but somehow we are the transphobic ones of pointing it out. There is a true safe space for lesbian women to date, but it is constantly under attack by LGBT culture. The app is called Giggle. It is a female social media app which also has communities for grief and loss, freelancers, finding a roommate, exercising, hobbies and dating and activism, etc. It is a wonderful app. The name Giggle, which is the collective noun for a group of girls. So this app uses an AI facial bone structure recognition technology to determine if users are male or female. So this app verifies whether you're a man or a woman. And this technology, bone structure recognition technology, is one of the ways archaeologists are able to determine the sex of a skeleton. So Meta, previously Facebook, censored the ads of Giggle on Meta platforms. Male supremacist attacks, constant mass reporting and mass invasions. So on the right side, you can see in the picture that this man, just to make a point, got into Giggle, and then you can see that we are wearing these two town today. Let's see how many people I can trigger. On the t-shirt you can see trans rights or else, and there are guns on the t-shirt. So basically that's a threat. Half of the app downloads have consistently been men trying to break into a space that is clearly not for them. So these men are proving why we need female exclusive spaces. One man even tried 48 times to get past the verification system. And the founder is constantly threatened with rape and death. The app and the founder are always portrayed in negative light by media. You can see here this girls only app uses AI to screen a user's gender. What could go wrong? It doesn't work if you're trans. So you can clearly see the entitlement of these people, of this cult. They can't just simply celebrate that there is a female exclusive social media app. It has to be about them. Otherwise, it's hateful. Cordon sealing is what it means that a lesbian woman's no to a man who demands to be recognized as a woman is oppressive. The cotton sealing is used to challenge cis lesbians' tendency to draw the line at sleeping with trans women or including trans lesbians in their sexual communities. So let me translate it for you. That means that cotton sealing is used to pressure lesbians into sleeping with men, also known as rape. This term was coined by Canadian male porn star who demands to be recognized as a woman. And the cotton here refers to underwear, implying that the content of a man's underwear are of importance. So basically, you match with somebody on her, okay, and you meet up with that person, and then you're having sex. So that man completely passes as a woman. Okay, so that man has undergone every kind of cosmetic surgery, and he passes every visible trait of femaleness. Okay, let's say that, and then you're having sex, and then you see that he has a penis, and then you say no because you're lesbian and you're clearly not interested in dicks, right? So you say no. So that man will say that, oh, you're oppressing him. Yeah, so you are hateful for saying no. Liberal responses on the matter of lesbian women's bodily autonomy. So yeah, so when you talk about trans women raping or pressuring lesbians to have sex, right? So these liberals will respond with, no trans woman is pressuring lesbians into sex. No trans woman is raping lesbians. Okay. Then you show them the evidence that there are incidents of this. And then they will say, there are few rotten apples, but generalization is transphobic. Or they will say, they're not truly trans. They are cis hetero men faking being trans to have sex with lesbians. And that isn't our problem to deal with. So they're telling lesbians, this LGBT cult is telling lesbians that rape of lesbians is not their problem to deal with. And if you don't want to suck female dick, then you're not lesbian. You are an anti-trans bigot. Trans women are women. They're always women. Lesbians should date them. And genital preferences are transphobic. So that basically means that homosexuality is transphobic. So what is homosexuality if not genital preference? So here you can see some screenshots of article. They are being pressured into sex by some trans women. That was article on BBC. And then on Medium, somebody wrote this article that says BBC anti-trans article explain. What they're saying is lesbians should not talk about trans women raping them, because then that puts trans women into negative light and that further marginalizes them. So what they're saying is that for the greater good, it is okay if lesbians get raped. So male pattern behavior of lesbians with penises, right? So on the left hand side, it's men and their typical regressive male behavior. On the right hand side, it's trans lesbians and their typical regressive male behavior. So male entitlement. Lesbians ain't interested in dicks. They are not interested in dating males, and yet these males are joining dating apps. fetish. So trying to fulfill fantasies by sleeping with one or more of lesbian women, trying to get validation by sleeping with one or more of lesbian women. Mansplaining. Lesbians are women who haven't met the right man yet. It's just a phase. Lesbians like dicks too. Lesbians are attracted to feminine behavior. Males can be lesbians too. Lesbians like female dicks. Manipulation. Prove that you care about my mental health by sleeping with me. If you're not sleeping with me, then you want me to die. You hate me. Divide and rule. So men create this section of women, right? They are that these women are evil, and other women are not supposed to be like these evil women, right? So misandrists are evil, and transphobes are evil. Then lesbians are man-hating cunts, suck my dick. Lesbians are transphobic cunts, suck my dick. Assaults and rape, assaults and rape. You can see that so if there are 9 men and one trans lesbian, and they died, and after 1,000 years the archaeologists dig their skeletons up, they will find 10 males, and it is not hateful to say that. So convergent therapy is a pseudoscientific procedure where the people believe that they can convert gay or lesbians into heterosexual people. That involves painful and harmful medical procedures, surgeries and stuff. A Bihari female constable who joined the forces in 2008 underwent sex reassignment surgery because of the strict laws in India that do not legally recognize homosexual relationships. So basically, this is conversion therapy. But the media covered it as a big win for LGBTQ community. That you can see in the subheadline that in a big win for the LGBTQ community, the CISF has officially recognized a woman who underwent sex change operation as a man. People don't like to see a woman and a woman together, or a man and a man together. So they would rather see one of the women going through painful and harmful, irreversible medical procedures, cosmetic procedures on the body to look like a man. So then the family can somehow accept that couple because one of them looks like a man and one of them looks like a woman. So this article glorified conversion therapy. Uh, it said that overcoming all social taboos, this woman underwent sex reassignment surgery, and that it is a big win for LGBT community. Another thing is that it also glorified internalized lesbophobia. So this statement is from the article that he said that though he was born as a woman, he treated herself as a boy. Okay. When you're growing up as a lesbian and you do not see lesbian representation in popular culture or your community, so what you see in the movies or in the everywhere, what you see is that um, a girl is interested in a boy is interested in a girl. Boy looks certain way, girl looks certain way. So lesbians pick it up, they internalize it that they are interested in girls, right? And girls are interested in a typical they're interested in boys, and boys look certain way. So I am interested in girls, so I must be a boy. But this LGBT cult, they rather glorify it as something progressive. Yeah, the pride marches are like filled with pornography and mockery of women. They are now happening in small towns in India too. So in pride marches, you can see that men dance on item songs. They imitate the dance style of the actresses from those item songs. They perform pornographic acts like twerking and humping and extra. So they put on BDSM costumes, or they put on women's clothing, lingerie and stuff, and they do these pornographic acts and item songs and stuff, and they derive pleasure from it. That man has wore this traditional clothing, Indian women's clothing. So we all know that femininity is a cage forced upon women, right? But for these men, it's exciting. It gives them pleasure. When lesbians are facing double marginalization, and these pride marches are where the community comes together, they have fun together, activities together, and they advocate for their rights. Lesbians are not gonna they're not gonna feel comfortable or welcomed in these pride marches, because it's mockery of us. They're literally mocking us women. So the LGBT movement can ignore the needs of lesbians, but lesbians must not hurt the sentiments of the team. So in India, same-sex marriage is still not legal. Though marriage is a regressive institution, but with marriage, you do get a lot of provisions and legal provisions. And in India, homosexuals, they do not have many legal provisions either. But a lot of resources have been spent on legal recognition of gender identity. So these trans rights are not up for debates, and they're literally everywhere. The LGBT organizations and their social media handles, the academia, everywhere. All they talk about is trans rights, trans rights, trans rights, and somewhere then gay men, gay rights, and lesbians are completely left out, right? So they can ignore lesbians completely, and they can keep talking about trans rights, trans rights, trans rights, like 24/7, and yet they claim that this T is the most marginalized, and somehow lesbians have cis privilege. You're not welcomed in the community if you don't comply to the gender identity politics. So if you do one of these things, you might get cancelled from this LGBT cult. So if you're using everyday normal language like women are adult human females instead of adult feminine human, then you're banished. Saying no to men who identify as women, you're banished. Referring to people by their sex pronouns like normal people do, you're banished. Following any successful or celebrity female who doesn't comply to the gender identity politics, and you're hateful. You're speaking your mind and asking the questions they don't have any answer to in good faith, then you're cancelled for from the community. So far, what I have learned from this, what I have observed and experienced, is that LGBT movement is an extension of conservative lesbophobia. It's not an antidote to it. So within these LGBT communities, saying no to men who feel like they are women is transphobic. Raping lesbians is fine as long as it validates the feelings of men who demand to be called as a woman. Rape culture is fine as long as it serves the great purpose of liberating trans people. If there are trans women who are raping lesbians, lesbians shouldn't talk about it since it puts trans women in negative light, and that might marginalize them even more. Male entitlement, men wanting to have sex with lesbians is fine if they feel like they are women. Saying lesbians aren't attracted to males is transphobic, genital preference is transphobic, so homosexuality is transphobic. Conversion therapy is good if the lesbian woman feels like she is a man. Pointing out the misogyny of gay men or drag queens, men who demand to be called women, is transphobic, anti-gay, and hateful. So they don't care if you are a lesbian or a bisexual woman or a woman with the DSD. They don't care. So as long as you're fine with the gender identity politics, you can do whatever you want. But if you're not fine with it, you don't comply to it, then you're completely banished.